You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales. Streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
We are totally switching things up tonight. If you're expecting me to show you a bunch of $2 comics, you have come to the wrong show. But we're going to do something way cooler tonight. I have brought on a smorgasbord of super talented, awesome creators. You guys are going to get a chance to engage with them right here, right now for the next 2 hours. So sit back. This is going to be a show unlike any other episode of Kickin' It you have ever seen. Welcome back to Kickin' It With Onrie. You guys are all watching a different episode of the show. We got some great guests here for you guys. Some of you might recognize some of these wonderful creators here. So first, before we kick it off, I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight. You guys are awesome because I literally just thought about putting this together for, like 2 days ago. I didn't have any time to plan it at all. And all of you guys have just come together for this. I really appreciate it. We got some big names here, so I'm so happy. So thank you all for being here. And I guess we'll kick it off with Tom, because Tom was the first person who was here. He was in the room, and we always say the early bird gets the worm. So Tom, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and your current campaign?
Well, I'm only here because I thought we were gonna have the argument of who's the best Spider-Man. Like that's what we're here for, right?
Oh, we'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to.
All right. Just want to make sure. I'm Tom Hutchison. I'm the writer, publisher, art director, all things Big Dog Inc. We're celebrating 14 years this year, so the campaign that we have running is called the BD14 Anthology, and even in that, I'm working with some other writers, which we've done over the years, but usually all Big Dog Inc. stuff is me. But I tapped a couple of people on the shoulder and said, "Hey, do you want to do a thing?" And they were like, "Yeah, let's do a thing." So that's what we're up to.
Awesome. Jay, can you drop the link for Tom's campaign in the comments just so everybody can see it? I guess we'll just do that as we go through everything. And it's there are other creators who do this way better than I do because they've done it 100 times. This is my first official creator hangout, and we're doing it on the Experience, so it's a little bit of a different thing. But we're gonna get through this. We are definitely gonna figure it out. So
just wing it.
Yes, exactly. All right. So, JD, why don't you tell us who you are and what you do?
I'm JD Calderon, the writer and creator of the Oswald Chronicles, Tall Tales, Magi's Grace, Dreamweavers, and a bunch of other things that eventually come out. So, yeah. And I do a show on Sunday nights, Indie Comics Explained with JD Rosario. Sometimes Tom is on there. Chuck has been on there. Charlie's been on there. I don't think I've had anybody else on there here.
I really want to get on your show. We got to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, Aaron. Yeah, I think it's been a minute though, but listen, everybody's invited. So
yeah,
Onrie, we will get you back on there.
Awesome. All right, Chuck. I mean, you're a man who needs no introduction, but give it to us anyway, because what the heck,
What's up, everybody? I'm Chuck Pino. I am the editor of that book you didn't read. I'm also the editor of WARLION, which is on Kickstarter today, issue 2. So excited about it. Dude, we had such a great time making that book. So yeah, I'm just super excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you for being
here. You look like you're getting abducted by aliens or something. There's UFOs flying around you. You got beams of light in your face.
I can't tell you guys where I'm from. That's all. I'm in a special room in the desert. Yeah.
So you're asking us not to probe the situation?
I can't take any more probing. Absolutely. No more probing.
No probing or pegging allowed on this show, even though it's late night, and no swearing either. Chuck also reminded us he is the nanny, the cyber nanny tonight.
Yeah, that'll be an alien concept for him, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
All right, Sarah, you're up. Tell us who you are, what you do, what you got going on.
I'm Sarah White. I am co-founder of Laguna Studios with Lori Foster. Everybody knows Lori, right? I also have a show of my own called Critical Affection over on Agents of Geekdom. Streams on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. Except for yesterday it didn't, because I don't know if anybody's from the Midwest, but if you're from the Midwest, we had a little bit of a storm thing happen.
Yep.
Yeah,
You lose power too?
There was a little bit of no power for 3 or 4 hours, which was surprising. And there was a little tornado scare, and they were talking about derechos, but it seems like none of that happened, at least not here. So it's like we're rescheduling. I had a really cool guest for last night, so I'm trying to reschedule, and we'll hopefully get it done.
It was weird because everything was totally fine by where I was, but about like 30 minutes from me, like stuff like got wrecked, like houses fell apart. It's like I
believe it.
Yeah,
like, we were on the edge of that storm, and it still messed stuff up here pretty badly. So. And yeah, like I said, we lost power. It kind of pissed me off, actually, because we saw that everybody around us still had power, but like our block all the way up the street didn't have anything. So I was like, of course, right?
Relatable.
Of course. Oh, made me so mad because I was like, my stream.
Well, it'll come back, and it'll come back stronger. That's what I've come to discover, having been doing this for a while. All right, Todd, you're next. Tell us what you do.
So I found this one very interesting because we just talked with Sarah White, and I am the Todd Black. I'm the writer creator of multiple comics and graphic novels, some of which you may have heard of if you've been on Kickstarter long enough, including Tokyo Blade Detectives. And I'm here today to talk about my newest adventure, a heist graphic novel called Take the House. And yes, to answer your question, the hair is real. You're welcome.
Roberto says he misses a good Midwest thunderstorm minus losing power.
Then he needs to reevaluate his life.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with him. A good thunderstorm is real fun to watch until you lose power, or until like stuff starts flying. Like it's like Ron White, the comedian, said, it's not that the wind is blowing, it's what the wind is blowing. And when the wind starts blowing stuff, you better be out of the way. And also, it was hot as balls after the power went out. Mm-hmm. I was not a fan.
I didn't know balls were necessarily hot, but that's another topic.
It was all just a marketing thing from Hollywood. Whiskers comes out this week. It was just a marketing thing. Don't worry.
All right, Kenrick, you're up. Tell us who you are, what you do, and what's in those long boxes behind you.
Those are short boxes, but just old, just comics. I used to run a podcast called Spoiler Country with John Horsley. We've actually had Chuck on. We've Aaron was on not too long ago, actually, with just me. In our heyday, we had about 130,000 viewers a month, and interviewed a bunch of people, and we just got kind of sick of doing it. So we took basically 2 years off, and I always wanted to do my own stuff and create my own books. So yeah, on my second Kickstarter, just launched July 8th it's called Supernatural Baby Detective, which is on the nose with what's going on. We have Frank. He's a hard-boiled detective back in the late 90s. Frank dies on page 9. And spoiler. Yes, big time spoiler. He's not reincarnated, but his soul and his consciousness is then transferred to a stillborn baby who then comes alive, and our second issue starts 2 years later when Frank is 2 years old now, and he's got to reignite his detective agency and start looking for the issues that's going on and fight against the crazed man that's been kidnapping kids, and it convinces new mom Alice that he is who he says he is. So it's a lot of fun, and we've been having a lot of fun doing it.
That's awesome, man. That's actually a really interesting concept, and I think we should totally talk. We'll talk more about it. Aaron,
we got.
Oh, sorry. No, sorry, Ken.
No, it's all good. Go to Aaron.
Finish it up. I hate cutting people off.
I just want to say I got super lucky. I got Greg Smith from that everybody here probably has worked with at some point in their life. He did like Junior Braves or the Apocalypse and other things. He's been my editor. And I got really lucky. I got Eisner Award winner Richard Starkings read my script, and he was like, I'm going to do this. And he's doing all the lettering for me, which is fucking amazing. So lucky man.
Greg is a sweetheart. I absolutely love him, and very very talented artist too. So sounds like got a great team. And D. Richard Starkings, man, that's you got the king of lettering right there.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's a great book. I've had a sneak peek of a few. It's really good.
Oh,
Really
nice. I'll take it.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron, tell us who you are, what you do. I mean, I know who you are. You're awesome, but tell us who you are and what you do, brother.
I'm Aaron. I'm a writer, creator. I've done Blood and Fire, which Onrie knows. Ice and Bone is the sequel to Blood and Fire. Did a
awesome book.
Just started a supernatural horror called Amor Patris, which is Latin for Father's Love. So that's just kicked off a couple of months ago on Kickstarter. Currently, Enenra is live and kicking, so I'm kind of promoting that and trying to get the word out.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm a big fan and Blood and Fire has been a big seller on Kickin It. I know that we have a couple fans of the series who might be poking in right now. But Ice and Bone, I'm really looking forward to getting my Kickstarter reward for that. I think that's just so great what you've done with using the elements and the different aspects of human anatomy to create your titles. That's really badass.
Yeah, it just fell into it. I wasn't expecting to do a sequel. Blood and Fire was supposed to be it done, finished, and then it just kind of fell into my lap and just grew. So yeah, it's Ezekiel's done some kick-ass jobs with the storyline.
And not only that, he's also I still have some of those prints left that he did. So last year, if you guys backed the first WARLION campaign, one of the things and you backed Fire and Blood and Fire. You got this really cool print that was done by Aaron's artist, which is really cool. And I still have a few of those. Maybe we'll do a giveaway for some of those prints for some of our backers. Yep, that's it right there. We got WARLION and Aaron. What was your main character's name again?
Nakaki.
Nakaki, yeah. And he was badass samurai, and here they are just beating up a bunch of zombies, and was it zombies? What were we having them beat up?
Zombies, you name it, anything. Pretty much monsters.
Zombies, hillbillies, like all stuff. Just terrible,
I think they're having a good time.
I think so. All right, now we got the mighty Charlie Stickney here. Charlie, what do we got going on, buddy? How you doing?
Hey, I'm Charlie Stickney, writer, publisher of White Ash Comics, and I've been just trying to figure out which creator I'm supposed to claim for $2. That's how the show works, right? My current Kickstarter is for the first ever White Ash annual, and it also signifies a little bit of a shift from me doing a lot of creator-owned stuff into working more as a full-fledged publisher. And so I've started bringing in some creators to play in the White Ash universe. Amanda Dybert wrote a story for that. Tango wrote a story. Mick Bayers. And so it's a really exciting time for me. It's also a little scary because anytime you sort of go beyond yourself, you have to be very careful about who you're choosing to collaborate with. But we're off to a great start on the campaign, and I'm looking really forward to the next chapter of White Ash Comics.
That's awesome, Charlie. I'm a big fan of yours, and like everything you're doing. Like, I've been out to a lot of West Coast shows last year, and Charlie's got this big setup, and his artist is just the most wonderful person. And just you come by their booth, you always just feel welcome over there. And I'm so happy for you and everything that you got going on right now, man. You're really going for it.
Hey, not to heap on the praises of Charlie, but when I did my first Kickstarter, I contacted him. Travis Gibb told me, talk to Charlie if you're Kickstarter. Charlie spent an hour with me going through every single thing on my Kickstarter and says, this is wrong. You should think about this, do this. And I used all of his advice, and I exceeded what I was going for. And he was a big part of that. So I really want to say thank you.
Well,
maybe I should do that.
I like to do that too.
You're welcome. I mean, I've been very fortunate in my comic journey. So if I can help other people, I am always there to help other creators. And Onrie, I think one of the things that you said is really true. Like Connor, who I've worked with on White Ash, is just a wonderful human being. And as we get a little bit older, I think life becomes a little too short to spend a great deal of time with people who aren't wonderful and enjoyable to spend time with. And so I've been very, I guess the word is blessed, to just have incredible collaborators who both contribute artistically, but really are just good people. And I love having them part of everything that I do.
I'm going to say the same thing about this guy who's right under me, Chuck Pino here. I don't know what I'd do without this guy. I'm not kidding. I mean, like, WARLION wouldn't exist without him, and he's really helped me get Easton Shin back on track. So I know exactly what you mean. Life is too short to, not bring people that you want to spend your time working with around you, especially when it comes to our creative projects. Now,
I was going to say, like, to that end, we're all making so much money, and there's so much fame associated with it. It's easy. Just when you have that, it's okay if you work with a-holes. It's very important.
So
making it rain.
We need to take a very short commercial break because we have sponsors on the experience who actually help bring our channel to life. But not only that, we want to make everybody aware of their amazing books and everything like that. But when we come back, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Each of you guys are going to get to answer it. And we will be back. And I will ask you guys a question so you can wait in anticipation. This will be just about 30 to 40 seconds, 30 to 40 minute commercials. We'll be right back.
Order Battle Quest comics at your local comic shop today.
What do you call the place on Spider-Man's wrists where the webs come out? His website. I hate myself for writing that joke, but you'd make me feel so much better if you just visited our website. We have links to our merch, new release lists, all the show info, and so much more. TheEXPLive.com. Twitch. It's not just what happens when you have too many energy drinks anymore. Check out our content over there, too.
All right, we are back, and I have a question that every single creator is going to have a chance to answer right now. We're going to start off with JD, and I know you don't have an active campaign going on right now, but you're clearly working on different stuff. So, JD, why don't you tell us, what is your biggest inspiration for your current project in comics? Like, what comics have you read recently that have inspired you the most? It could be new stuff, it could be old stuff, just anything. What are your big inspirations?
I mean, I'll go for my classics. Although, I guess recently, Monstrous is a really good book that I've been enjoying. The stuff that I think it's Jeff Johns has been doing over at Image currently. Giger, right? And that's the only one I've read so far. But they say the other ones. I'm looking forward to the other ones. The problem is I buy everything in either trade paperbacks or hardcovers, so I gotta wait. So it's gonna be a while. But the thing is, for me, it's always a classic. It's Frank Miller's run on Daredevil, and I mean the whole thing and all of it, and that includes his Elektra run. So all of that stuff. Walter Simonson's Thor, Bill Willingham's Fables. That's another one. So yeah, those are probably the things that really sing to me as far as that stuff is concerned. Yeah.
Now, Tom, you and we have had lots of conversations about comics because we've gone to conventions together. We shop around for you're also reselling just like I am, and Tom's usually the guy who's like, "Hey, Onrie, the deals are over at this booth. This is the one you want to go to, and go on Sunday because they're probably going to want to dump a bunch of stuff." So you come across all kinds of stuff. You've turned me onto a bunch of different comics that I never really was paying attention to before. So what do you say is inspiring you right now, or with what you're doing, presently in comics?
I don't read a lot of new stuff. My whatever, my weekly pull list or whatever is next to nothing right now. But I'm a lot like JD. Like I'll pick up trade paperbacks and stuff as arcs and things kind of wrap up. But everything that I do, I know comes from what I was reading when I was younger, and I came up with sort of a combination of Wonder Woman and Godzilla at the same time when I first started getting into comics and figuring out what a comic book even was when I was a kid. And then that, branched off into, Ghost Rider and whatever. But, whenever people talk about inspirations for me from a writing sense, because that's basically all I do is write, it all kind of always falls back to me for Chris Claremont. He's the top of the list. I mean, there's a lot of guys that I like, but talk about prolific and the ability to make you almost hear the character, right? It's not just words on the paper. When you hear Rogue talk, when you hear Cannonball talk, when you hear Moira talk, like you can hear what they say. And that was a unique thing for me when I was, coming up in comics, and I ran into X-Men stuff. And I was like, God damn, this is something. There's a different level here than I was getting on some of this other stuff. And so Chris has always been sort of like my that's my inspiration, is that modern stuff. I think that Robert Kirkman made Invincible. It was he would market it as the best superhero comic book in the universe. I don't know that you can debate it during that run. I mean, that 15 years that it was running. So, Invincible was fantastic. And of course now the world gets to know, because now it's a cartoon and everybody's like, oh, it was a comic book. Yes, guys, it was a comic book. Go get the comics. And, the comics are way more decompressed than the TV show, but it was good stuff. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I actually really like what Kirkman's been doing with the Hasbro stuff. Like the way he's brought that universe in and combined the universes. I mean, it's not just like, hey, I have this license now, I'm just going to start making Transformers comics, and every Transformers fan is going to buy it because of the fact that it's Transformers. Like he's like world building here. He's doing, he's building out his own MCU with these characters, which I think is really cool. So I definitely got a lot of respect for what he's doing, and you're a man of refined and good taste.
Sure, if you say so. Sure.
All right,
I'm going to put that on all my resumes.
Yes, you should. A man of refined taste. I meant that as a compliment. I hope you didn't take it the wrong way. All right, Chuck, you're up. What are your big inspirations? I mean, I know personally, but I'm not sure if everybody else does. So
right. Well, first off, just so everyone's aware, we're more than 15 minutes into the show so far. So, Henrik.
Oh, then I need to change all of my answers.
Right. So, Henrik. Yeah. See, I was the one who was watching that fucking clock. Henrik, I fucking loved Spoiler Country. I loved what you guys did on that show. Much love, man. I just wanted
thank you.
I wanted you to know that right away. Yeah, I loved what you guys did. I was very disappointed. Like, not disappointed, sad when you guys went off, but I 100% understand. Like, you're not there.
Dude,
you're not there.
We put out over 900 episodes.
Yeah,
from 2017 to 2022. It was ridiculous. And it got to the point where it was every day. We had Tommy Chong on. We had, oh my God, I can't remember. We had so many people on, and it was great. But at the same time, it was so hard to market, so hard to, and it didn't make it. There was so much work put in. It didn't pay the bills.
Yeah.
If it can't pay the bills, then we couldn't continue to do it, which is unfortunate because we did have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. But yeah, and that kind of brings me to the fact that like everybody, like watching you guys all kind of continue to grow and put stuff out, like that's a big inspiration to me. Just seeing people raising their games and doing better and better and getting to newer audiences and even just in storytelling, seeing new devices and people playing with new concepts and really just finding their place. So that is one thing for sure. And another is lately I've been reading a lot of trades. Some of my favorite, Something is Killing the Children. Got to read the first one. Loved it. Sweet Tooth. Got to read like the first 3 or 4 trades of that. Fucking great. Loved them. And The Last Ronin. I'm almost done that one. Love it. So yeah, those are some that I've read and enjoyed and have me excited to keep writing.
That's awesome. Sean. That's great. Sarah, you're up.
Well, as far as like inspirations go, I kind of, like everything, not just comics.
Sure, it's okay. You can talk. It could be outside of comics too. That's totally fine.
I was kind of pushed backwards into the comic industry, I think.
Sorry. Well, I actually don't know.
I have like almost zero comic experience when I was a kid, right? So when I started, I jumped into this because Lori just needed help with something, and I'm a graphic designer, so she's like, you can do this, right? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then I ended up sticking around, and she probably regrets that decision. I don't know. She never should have asked me. But yeah, like ever since I've been trying to catch up. Like lately, I've been reading everything that have all the Batman stuff that has a lot of Joker's story in it for research purposes, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. But I also I see stuff from like TV, from my favorite cartoons like Avatar: The Last Airbender. I've been rewatching that one. No idea why. It just was like one day I woke up and I was like, I think I'll watch Avatar again.
You don't need a reason to rewatch greatness. All right.
That is very true. And I'm also I watched
Oh, Sarah, I'm sorry to interrupt. One of our viewers is asking if you could turn up your mic because it's hard to hear.
Yeah, like it's a mile away from me. Yeah. There we go. Is that better?
I think so. I think
it's Is it better now?
Yes.
Like I was trying to wash the taste out of my mouth of that live action Avatar that Netflix did. It's better than the movie, and that's really all I can say about it. I just didn't care for it.
That's a low bar.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Movie, show, animated series.
I watched it with my kids, and I just couldn't get into it. Like the anime is just so much more like.
The animation was so good.
It was. Beautiful. And I guess I got mad about Sokka's story because they took away the misogynism at the beginning of his arc, and I was like, where does he grow from there? He has nowhere to go if you take away the misogyny in the beginning, and how he learns that yes, women are valuable. That's his arc. That's certainly his arc through the first book. And they took it all away. And I was like, yeah, okay, I can't do this. It was a chore to watch the whole thing. And I had to because we were going to rip it apart on my show. And so I had to watch the whole thing. And it was a slog. But it wasn't all bad, but it wasn't great. I didn't care for it. I mean, I know, no hard feelings to anybody who does. Like I'm not gonna break friendships if somebody did like it, but if it wasn't,
it was
for me,
okay.
Yes, exactly. It was like it had its good points, but
the One Piece one wasn't bad. My kids and I really enjoyed the.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
I haven't watched that one yet because I don't know a lot about One Piece, but yeah, I've been thinking
That's
about
probably
watching
for the
it
best.
I know of One Piece, but I don't know a lot about it, so maybe I should watch it.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of this game I used to play on the PlayStation called Suikoden, where like, you know, you like build this entire army of people and, you know, are fighting this war. But One Piece is definitely a different concept, but it's just the lure of it, the feel of it, it feels a lot like it. So it's really like easy for me to get into. But yeah, that's some good inspiration right there for sure.
Some anime should just stay anime.
Yes, this is true. And some comics should just stay comics too. Like like Watchmen, which is one of Tom's favorite graphic novels of all time. You know,
unreadable, but the movie
unreadable,
is great.
but
the movie's great.
Yeah, the movie's great.
TV show even better.
Yes, Charlie, you were 100% right about that TV show. All right, Todd, you're up.
Hi.
So, how you doing, man?
Hanging in there. So let's see. So for me, ironically, when I do my comics and my novels, more times than not, I don't get the inspiration from comics. Not because I don't read them. I have a pull list every Wednesday, but I find inspiration in, you know, the shows I watch, the movies, even video games. I'm actually bouncing off of what Sarah said. I'm not afraid to say that my comic career is heavily tied to the fact that I loved the first season of Legend of Korra. I decided to write a fan fiction, which became very, very popular, and I used that to build up my writing skills, which led me into comics. And after that, it was literally just me coming up with ideas for various things based on the things that I watched. For example, with my current Kickstarter, Take the House, I was inspired by Oceans 11 and 13. We don't talk about the even-numbered ones. Not even a little. Where's the lie? Where's the lie, everyone? But I just love the style of it. I love the flashiness of it. I love the idea of this, you know, this group of thieves going after a score, and it's like, oh, this is impossible. No, it's not. They just haven't figured out the plan yet. So that's what I did with mine. And then I was like, well, how do I make it like my own? So I came up with a unique storyline, which we could talk about later. And I decided I really wanted to have some unique visuals, something totally different than I had done before, or even comics had done before to a certain extent. So we actually got inspiration from Persona 5 Royal, one of the best RPGs ever made.
You know, I just had a conversation with my buddy about this, and he was telling me I need to play that game.
It's a great game. It's long.
Yes,
it's 110 hours worth it. Yeah, get good, people. No, but I like my artist and I watched a trailer for Joker's arrival in Smash Brothers, and it had the very Persona color style. Like, I went to my artist Alex, can we do something like that? And he goes, yeah, I think we could pull it off. So when we show my campaign, I'll show you the pictures, or the pages, but you know, inspiration. So there you go. You got 2 movies, a video game, and just a desire to do something familiar yet different. Inspiration comes from anywhere and everywhere, and that's what I love to do with my stories.
That's awesome, man. That's actually really great. I love that you guys are bringing your inspirations from other things outside of comics to comics, because you know, if you're just kind of rooted in the lore of comics, it's like it's not you're bringing something new to it, and however you're bringing it is what counts. And the fact that you're making it is what matters even more. That's all that actually matters at the end of the day. So that's really cool, and it also opens up the conversation a lot more. So Kenrick, what's up, my brother?
What's up, man?
Tell us what inspires you. What's your biggest inspiration?
Yeah, man, it's kind of all over the place. So I turned 50 on August 5th.
You don't look a day over 21. No. Seriously, you look very.
I'll take it.
You got more head on your head. You got more hair on your head than I do. That's for sure.
Not by much, but yeah.
I told Sarah.
Not like Todd over there. He's got all the hair.
Todd's got us both beat.
But growing up, I was a huge, I'm a child of the 80s, born in the 70s. So movies played a big role, right? I was really lucky. All these things that are coming back around were built for my generation, right? The Transformers, G.I. Joe, the Goonies, you know, the Monster Squad. I loved the Monster Squad when I was a kid. My favorite books when I was, you know, I read a lot of the Lord of the Rings, obviously. And when it came to comics, I'm a lot like Tom. I was a big Chris Claremont. That was the man I read the most of. I read Wolverine, the miniseries, right off the newsstand when it came out. Same with Magic. I loved Ilyana Rasputin, ended up becoming my favorite character. I stopped reading comics at the end of Inferno when they took her powers away. I couldn't read it after that. I was like, I'm done. I can't believe you did this to my favorite character. And it wasn't till years later that I got to interview Louise Simonson, and she told me what her plan was for that afterwards, but she was basically let go from Marvel. And I was like, okay, I feel better. But, you know, a lot of that kind of stuff was, I've always just wanted to do this. I just always had a lot of stories in my head. I have started and stopped so many novels and short stories and everything that this medium just kind of plays to my inability to stay focused when it comes to a long form prose, right? Like doing a novel like Todd does, I don't think I'd ever be able to do that, you know, because my focus ends up going this way. But landing out an outline on on 96 pages or, you know, however many pages it needs to be for a 4-part limited series, I can do that. And I can stay very focused, and then I can get my artist and my colorist and my editor all involved. And it's such a team oriented goal at the end of the day when you make this. You know, it's rare to have that person that can do everything involved, right? The penciling, the inking, the coloring, and have this amazing book, right? I mean, Todd McFarlane is one of the greatest artists that defined a generation, but there's a lot of stuff that, you know, his writing isn't the best, right? He's great.
Come on. He's a great writer.
He's a great writer, but I would contend the stuff that he did on Batman for a year or two was really, to me, is his best work for me. Sure. And it's just, yeah, just having a team around, I really love that. And when it comes to, yeah, and I worked at a video store, and when I worked at a video store in the 90s, I got really into Marlon Brando and Humphrey Bogart, and, you know, all these old guys and these old hard-boiled movies, and the way they wrote, the way they talked, and that transatlantic, accent that is basically dead now. Nobody talks like that anymore, but it was just for the movies. And I really got into that. And that really inspired me to write the story the way it is today, because I wanted to try to do this hard boiled at the beginning and then soften into this more of a kid, like Monster Squad kind of feel. And, you know, and then I idolize Mike Mignola because he is one of those rare people that can do it all. And so when I read his stuff, I'm always like, oh, I want to do that. I want to be that good in my writing. I want to tell a story that makes me feel that way, or makes me wonder, oh, how did you come up with this? Or, oh, that is something that when you're reading it, you're like, oh, I can feel how these characters are going to react. Before, when the situation arises, you kind of know what the character's going to do because you've been reading them for so long, you know who they are, you know? And I want to get my characters to feel that way when people read. And so those, I kind of take it from all that. I hope that wasn't too winded.
No, that's great. That's giving us a deeper insight to everything. So Philip Ragusa was asking a question, Onrie, who's this group? This is a group of creators who are all doing Kickstarters or have been involved in Kickstarters. And I decided to bring them all on for this show today rather than sell you guys comics, because I just launched a Kickstarter. And so I'm spreading the love a little bit. So the reason why I'm asking the question of what these guys are inspired by is because every Tuesday night we're on The Experience and I'm selling you guys comics. Isn't it great to know what these creators are inspired by so that you guys have an entryway to their work and knowing a little bit more about their process and everything? So if you guys haven't had a chance yet, please scroll up and check out the links to all of their campaigns. And, you know, rather than throw money at me tonight, you guys have done that all day today, and we've had a killer first day on our WARLION campaign. We're $30 away from hitting $1,500 on day one, which I'm super happy about.
That's amazing.
Very nice.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you guys, and to all of you guys as well. All of you guys are totally kicking butt too. Let's see if we can get some backers for these fine folks too.
Please.
We have a big
Please.
we have a big indie crowd here. That people who buy indie comics. So please support these creators. Check out their Kickstarter campaigns, and keep in mind too, this is going to be on the experience for a very long time. So. Or just period. But we have people who will come on the show later on, and so this is, if we don't have viewers who are watching the show now, particularly, they might come on later and check out your campaigns. So, Aaron, let's go to you, my man. Tell us a little bit about what's inspiring you right now with your current series.
Right now, Anandra kind of set everything off for me. I kind of go into a bit of background into why Anandra in my Kickstarter updates as part 1 and part 2 of like how I started, because I came in to comics quite late. I was more TV series, films. That's how I started. And Enra is actually started writing TV scripts, and Enra was a TV script. So the first issue took forever because Ezekiel, the artist, was going off an actual TV script, not a comic script. So it took a long time of going back and forth, changing everything. So then I revamped all the scripts to comics, and been, he's my longest working relationship, going on like 10 years plus now.
That's fantastic, and that says something about what your dynamic is. If you guys are constantly working together, that some of the best collaborations in comics are like, when the writer and the artist are like really good friends,
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, he drew Ice and Bone without any sketches he sent to me, and I think I changed like one panel of 28 pages. I'm like, damn, he's good, and he nails it. He really does. So I'm really looking forward to sending that out to everybody ASAP. But yeah, I kind of, like I said, I started late, so all I've been really reading is Kickstarter comics. Travis Gibbs, Granite State Punk. I mean, it's probably one of my favorite series. It's great. Looking forward to the new one. I'm kind of doing the Ronin of O'Kane. I don't know if anyone's heard of that one. It's like a cyberpunk.
Ronin of what? What is it called?
Ronin of O'Kane. It's Okane. I'm probably butchering that, but yeah, that's another series I really like. I'm kind of heavy into cyberpunk. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the new Aliens film, because my next genre is a science fiction horror, kind of Aliens Event Horizon genre vibe. So if I get that started at the end of the year, I'll be very happy.
Nice.
That's really cool. Charlie, I have this huge desire right now to take a picture of the back of your head over there so I can see all those wonderful graphic novels that you have displayed so wonderfully behind you. What are some of your big inspirations? It doesn't have to be comics. We've been kind of all over the spectrum here, but take it away, my man. What's been your biggest?
For me, I've had various stages. Like I grew up, started with fantasy books, right? I mean, like other people, Tolkien was a big influence. Terry Brooks. I love both the Sword of Shannara, but also his Magic Kingdom of Landover series, which was great. A little bit more pulpy as I look back on it, maybe not the best messaging was Piers Anthony. I love Piers Anthony's work, but as an adult, I look back and I see maybe a little problematic, especially his understanding of women. But when you're 11, 12, you don't quite see that. So those are my early influences. And then I went into comics. Chris Claremont for sure. Peter David, though, like for me, was one of the first people that I saw in comics. And I thought, I need to follow this writer because he had such a nice dynamic between humor and pathos. And like, I like to think, when I saw the Marvel, the MCU start building up, that tone you see in Peter David's work. You see in Peter David's work in the late 80s and the early 90s before you saw it in other parts of comics. And I feel like that's almost all of comics now, trying to go back and forth and play the humor and the drama and the tragedy together. But Peter David really kind of did it first in a way that worked, at least, you know, in terms of my experience. And I loved his Hulk run. And I think for me, you know, like when I say Claremont and David, it was because they both had these incredibly long runs as creators versus a lot of the other books at the time that were jumping around with different voices. And then I went to college and I thought I was going to do comics professionally. I interned at Marvel when, you know, in the like 1994. But I was also a film major. And then I ended up with a job offer in Los Angeles. So rather than moving to Brooklyn and becoming an inker writer, I moved to LA and worked in animation. I worked in feature film for like 20 years. And so then for me, a lot of my inspiration then started being romantic comedies. And then all of a sudden we had this prestige age of television, which was kicked off by Lost and The Sopranos. And, you know, all of a sudden television was great. And that's where, you know, writers were going to tell long form stories. And so for me, I was really inspired by that. But it's so hard to get things made in Hollywood. You know, like you can be a working writer like I was for years, where you get paid money and no one ever makes your things. They option it and they pay you to write scripts and drafts, and it's soul crushing. And so at some point I was like, you know what, I'm gonna sort of see if I can make my own things. And that's when I came back first to Kickstarter. I put White Ash out there in 2017, and it immediately started doing well there and blew up, and we had a big audience. And that's let me do a lot of other things. Then it ended up at Scout and was in the direct market over there. And so for me, you know, though coming back to comics, I kind of looked at that landscape because I was away. You know, like when I went out to LA, I was both broke when I first moved out there. I think a lot of us, when we get broke, we stop buying comics. And then also like my tastes were evolving. But when I came back, it was definitely, you know, you look at where comics have gone to, and I was looking at Rick Remender's Deadly Class run, which I thought was incredible to see, like that unified voice. A lot of stuff that Brian K. Vaughan was doing. You know, like if you come back to comics after a while, you're like, oh, now there's Y the Last Man. Oh, there's Saga. These were not things that were happening in the late 90s, in the early aughts. So for me, all of that was inspiring. And so I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell a 60-issue series with spinoffs, which is always the best idea when you come to comics to do your first comic. Which no one will ever say, but that's what I'm doing, and it's working. So I'm very happy.
You know, it's funny because that was originally what I wanted to do too. And the fact that I'm seeing that you're doing that is really fantastic. Todd, you had your finger up. I think you wanted to say
I
something.
did that when I first started in comics, because my very first series was a superhero series called Guardians, because that's what I grew up on, was superhero cartoons. And I'm like, okay, I've got ideas, and this is legit. I have ideas for like 100 issues. Let's just get started. I got about 20 in, and then I'm like, you know what? I have this other idea I want to go do, so let's put a pause on this. And then I started writing everything else. So you're not alone. I have done that, and I will probably get back to that. But I was definitely of the, oh yeah, I got this one idea. I know I could do 100 issues with this. So let's just get going. What's the worst that could happen? It still sells. I'm just saying, it sells at cons.
The sheer commitment, though, Charlie, to stick with that, because that is like, you know, when I initially came to an editor that mentored me, and I was like, yeah, I want to make Eastern Shin a 60-issue limited series. He's like, no one's going to stick around for that. No one's got the interest. And I think the difference with White Ash is you've got something there that you can keep going with. And it's not just that, it's also the commitment too. And seeing the commitment that you've had with the series and how you've been building it and everything, it's really kind of, you know, it's become a full-time job for you, which is really cool.
Well, and I also think it speaks to the paradigm that shifted when you do a comic on Kickstarter, right? I mean, if I was looking to do this just in the direct market, that would be an impossible, ridiculous goal, because first of all, there's no publisher that's going to want to finance or sign up for that. And also the way the direct market works with attrition, with issue drop-offs, you know, you're not going to be able to afford to make it. versus something on Kickstarter where you're going direct to your audience. You're able to find people who love that thing, and you gather them and they help build support. And then you can go back to the direct market, and you can do a different version of it. Like I think it's all one big ecosystem, but if you're going to do something really long form and you don't have that huge name coming from Batman or for something else, it's a really, you're going to just be pushing that rock up the hill. It's almost impossible unless you have your people behind you. And that's what I've been able to do through Kickstarter, is find those people who love what I do.
That's excellent. All right, guys, we're going to take another short commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to dive deeper into these creators, legacy in comics and everything. I got another question for them, and they're all going to answer. But before that, I just want to say Tom Hutchinson was here, and then he popped out for a minute. His internet died out. So if he can get it back up and running, he will rejoin us, and he'll be back. But I didn't want you guys to, be upset by the fact that he just suddenly ducked out. His internet crapped out.
Happens to the best of us.
And also, do not eat the red robe licorice. Do not eat the red robe licorice. All right, we'll be back after this commercial break.
Whoa. Did you miss it? Yeah, they can go by pretty fast. Let's slow down the footage.
Welcome. It's time to skim some comics. Miles Morales Spider-Man, I will just tell you that Miles is very important in his role as a vampire. So.
It's fine. If you like Hercules, read it. If you don't like it, don't worry about it. It's fine.
The art is still stunning. There's a panel, little spoiler, there's a panel in this where Chitauri first hits Lion-O, and he is the best "did she really just hit me" face I've ever seen put in a comic book.
Wow, live reviews of new comic books so you can be ready for New Comic Book Day. What is this? Oh, I see. It's Minute to Skim It. Part of the experience.
All right, guys, we are back. Unfortunately, Chuck had to duck out, but as you guys know, he is a broadcaster here on The Experience, and he will be back on the air tomorrow with you guys for Triple T, which airs at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern. An hour after that, I will be airing my show, so a lot of our watchers like to check out Chuck's show too, so I moved my Wednesday show up an hour so that I wouldn't be conflicting with Chuck here. So you guys will definitely see Chuck tomorrow. But bringing it back to this adorable crowd of people we have here, I am now going to ask a question that kind of came to me after hearing Charlie's answer, and actually from hearing everybody's answer. I guess we all know like the comics that inspire us and to make comics, but I think the majority of us have all got some kind of other thing going on in our lives that kind of take up some of our time. In my case, it's selling comics, it's reselling comics on the air and everything like that. So it's pretty obvious why I've chosen comics. But how about you guys? Like, there's so many different types of mediums that you could go to. And I know that, Todd, to my understanding, you're writing books, but regardless of anything, tell us all why you chose the platform that you're using to tell your stories. And JD, we'll start with you. Tell us, a little bit of why comics.
I have been reading, buying, collecting since I think I was 8 or maybe 7. And the thing is, I started in the 70s, right? Buying, reading, collecting comics. During that period, I came across a magazine, or it was a newspaper, the Comic Buyer's Guide. And I would get it weekly. I don't know if anybody remembers that thing, but it was an awesome piece of paper. You'd get it every week. And, it served the purpose of all the websites that are out there, right? So, and in one of the issues, probably when I was about 14 years old, there was an ad, and I've said this story before. But it was an ad, it was an article. It was about 2 guys from Boston doing good with their comic, right? From Massachusetts, these 2 guys. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I looked at it, and I looked at the artwork, and I was like, wow, those 2 guys did that. I can do that. And I've been chasing that sucker ever since. So that's that's
chasing that high.
Chasing it ever since. And the thing is I'm in New York City, and my buddy who was with me, who was my best friend at the time, he went to the High School of Art and Design here in New York City, in Manhattan. And he introduced me to a bunch of different artists when we were kids. And, it's how I met my wife, Daphne. It's how I ended up making all these crazy books, and how I started first publishing when I was like 18 years old in 92. My first book was done in that year. It was 3 of them. We print them all at the same time. It was Dreamweavers, Reaver, and Tall Tales. So we were, so it's one of those things. Once the ink gets in your blood, it's hard to get it out. So.
No, it's really interesting. And, it's funny because you see that success story in what Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman did. And it's like, everybody kind of, they're the benchmark now, you know what I mean? For everybody. And, it's interesting to hear, like, that was the thing that, like, pulled you in. So that's.
Yeah. But it was even before they were all that famous. It was on their second.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
It was on their second issue. They were just getting back to reprinting. So it was just like, I was just like, I can do that. And but it was pretty cool.
For me, when initially it was always Stan Lee that inspired me, but like when I really started getting into particularly like the live stream sales and everything, I was really looking at Brian Pulido a lot, and just seeing his success with Lady Death, and not just the success he's had with it, but just the culture that he's built around his publishing company and everything that he puts out there. And it's like, wow, like what he has done here, what he has, built, that's the house he's built, that's what inspired me. And I think like, that's what's really cool about what we're doing now in comics is like, rather than being the next Kevin Eastman or the next, next Kevin or Peter, or the next Stan Lee. I don't think there is such a thing as the next Stan Lee or the next, there's only one version of you, and you're creating a legacy that's going to open doors for other people to create their own legacies. That's what I personally take. But I think it's cool that you had your similar story. All right, Todd, you're up, man.
All right, so for me, I got into comics because when I was growing up, I unwisely watched a lot of television. Some kids did playing. I wasn't that kid. I did soccer, but then they got rid of it before I got to high school. Anyway, so I grew up on Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Teen Titans, Batman Beyond, X-Men Animated Series, Spider-Man, all of them, and Pokemon for my anime fans out there. And the more shows I watched, the more I realized that I would just come up with ideas for like how to put myself in the story, or how to put like a different character in the story and run with that. And then to circle back to the last question, when I watched The Legend of Korra season 1, I was so inspired by what they did that I just was like, what would my Avatar story be? So I wrote a fan fiction. That's writing, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I called it Avatar Spirit of Earth, and I wrote it on a blog and on IGN. And the first comment that came up was, "Dude, you're too good at this. I need to read more." Okay. So I literally spent, for those who remember the gap between season 1 and 2 Legend of Korra, I spent that gap writing 3 whole books of that fan fiction, and it got really popular, and I just used it to build up my writing skills and to do true long form storytelling. That was my first time ever doing it. And then with that confidence, I went to I had gone to C2E2 in Chicago, and there was a making comics the Marvel Way panel, and Matt Fraction was there. He was doing Invincible Iron Man at the time, and I had my idea for Guardians, my superhero comic, and I went, "Mr. Fraction, and I'm a writer. I really want to do comics. How do I do this?" And he goes, "Well, if you're a writer, find an artist and make comics." Okay, that's not a challenge at all. Fast forward 2 years later, because it was a challenge, I eventually got a job where I had the money to, pay an artist to make comics with me. And I just started with 1 issue, then went to the next, then went to the next, did 20 issues of Guardians. Then I found their Onrie Press was doing a submissions contest, but it couldn't be a superhero series. It had to be a 5-issue miniseries at most. So I came up with a new idea called Home, and I also submitted another one for a graphic novel called 10,000 Miles. And I just started doing it one after another, and I just kept writing because I got too many stories in my head. And then I would get all these inspirations. There's a queue in my mind, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I'm doing Take the House on Kickstarter right now. But once that's done, I'm already ready for the next book. All right, I already know what's coming next, and I know what's coming after that. And then there's oh, this is one series. It's down the way. I will get to you. I will get to you, but not right now. And it's just how my mind works. I get inspiration everywhere, and it's oh, this will be a fun thing to do, and then this will be a fun thing to do. And so I need to keep making stuff. And I was talking about my novels. I just wrote, I got it right here actually. I wrote a spacefaring novel, which is actually available on the Kickstarter. And I was just why did I write this? Because I like Star Trek, I like Babylon 5, and I came up with an idea. I'm okay, we can make this prose. Why not? It's called As We Wander the Stars. I liked that. I want to do Among the Stars, and then I found out that was taken. And then there's a comic anthology called Amongst the Stars. I feel I could have done that. It was right there, amongst right there. But I have this passion for stories, which I hope is conveyed, and I
think it's definitely conveyed. I mean, I don't think any of us could do what we do if we weren't passionate about it. Why would we waste our time doing it?
Exactly.
It's like Charlie was saying. It's clearly we're not doing this for the money. I mean,
money.
There is money. I mean, I certainly focus on making money when it comes to the sales side of it. Because that is how I make my living, is selling comics, both self-published and everything like that. But that took a long time. That wasn't an overnight thing. It took me about 5 years before I was paying myself anything from it.
Yeah.
So
it's for the fame.
Fame.
Well, I'm already famous for my hair, so I'm already covered on that. So
it's certainly not stressful either.
No. I haven't been stressing every day on my Kickstarter since it launched on July 1st.
Refresh.
Yeah. So, but for me, going back to the passion bit, when people ask me well, how do I get into comics? I'm the first thing you do if you're a writer is you got to believe in your story. I never, ever make a book if I do not believe in it 100%. Didn't matter if it was Guardians, Home, 10,000 Miles, my Sherlock novels, As We Wander the Stars, Take the House. And I've had people say, including with Take the House, Todd, are you really going to do this way? Because, you could do it like this, or you should do this. No, I believe in it how it is like this. And I wanted to Take the House a graphic novel. And so I did. I was I wanted to have that unique visual style because I believed in how unique and fun it could be. And I'm so happy with my artist, Alex Garcia, who's actually my longtime partner of 10 years, ironically enough. And I believe in it. I'm we're going to put this out there. We're going to make it great. And we're going to do all we can for it. And I believe in my next project and the one after that and the one after that. And I will keep making them for as long as I believe in these stories because I do love making them so.
That's awesome, man. That inspires me too. That's really great. You got to have passion for what you're doing.
Yeah.
That is the driving force behind everything. Aaron, you're up. Why comics?
Why comics? I think personally it's the closest I'm ever going to get to being a film or TV writer, director, because starting with scripts with an Enra, it's like the panels, it's like writing a script. You're visualizing what the reader's going to say, the dialogue. You pretty much Spielberg and James Cameron all rolled into one. The way you set your the artist, how he does each panel, how your letterer does, you guide from start to finish. So that's kind of how I really kind of visualize doing all the comics. And it's a lot freaking quicker than writing a novel. I've written 4 novels. I'm currently on my 5th because it's going through editing. I've written it, all my novels, and they stay on my computer, and I can't touch them because I can't afford to edit them. I can't afford to do a cover, so they just sit there. But comics, I can write a comic script in a week. Leave it, edit it, come back, and then it's done. Get the artist to have a little paragraph that big, and he makes an amazing. They do all the work. I just write a little spiel on a paragraph for a panel, and then he creates this. So yeah, it's a lot easier than writing a novel.
Creates this.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what they can do.
It's interesting. Jill Thompson once said, it's like, it's much easier to write 300 men storming a castle as opposed to drawing it. It's like, I mean, that's obviously the case.
Yeah.
But, it's like no matter how detailed you write that,
No.
it's still a lot easier to write it than it is.
Yeah, because you have to write a scene and then not use the same words like twice in a paragraph, and then make it sound good, not boring, so the reader continues reading to the next paragraph. It's a lot. I mean, and keeping the pace, going through the book. I mean, I've actually still got it in the background. Actually, 333,000, just almost 34,000 words. My current novel. It's a science, like a supernatural thriller. But yeah, writing comics is for me is a lot easier, and it's to do the visuals of the panels. Like I said, it's probably as close as I'm ever going to get to being like a TV or film writer, which I kind of think they should go and hire comic book writers to start doing this Marvel DC stuff, because A, they know the source, and B, they can pretty much write it from scratch. I
volunteers tribute.
Yeah,
I volunteers tribute.
Well,
I don't know why they don't. It's a massive pool of talent. I don't know why they don't dip into it.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with, I was actually speaking with a very renowned comic book writer yesterday. He's won multiple Eisners, and if I said his name right now, all of you guys would know who he is. And we were having a conversation yesterday about getting in, because I'm actually looking to get more into freelance, get more freelance work, mainly because I want to get published by other companies, and I think this is kind of like the next logical step for growth is to get published by other companies and help them build their universes and do all this. And the thing about it is that a lot of these companies, they are looking for that surefire thing right now. So it's like if they bring someone on who has worked on this movie that everybody has known, they're hoping that like Keanu Reeves, for example, like him, why would Boom decide to put so much into making a comic with Keanu Reeves? Because they know that he's going to bring all of his following with them. Yeah. And I think that's kind of like, it's more of like the marketing side of it, as opposed to, can this guy write a comic? Does he know how to write a comic? And is he well versed in this? Well, not necessarily, but hey, you can bring on, Ron Garney to draw the book, and you can get, I forgot the name of the writer, and I know him too. It's just really Matt, somebody help me. Who's the writer of Berserker?
Matt Kint.
Matt Kint. And I know Matt personally. I should have known. I just forgot his last name.
For shame.
But still, like you bring on guys like Matt Kint and Ron Garney, and these are guys who have made lots of comics, who've written for Marvel and DC. They can help Keanu understand. I actually interviewed Ross Ritchie on my show, and he talked about what Keanu was actually very involved with the production process of Berserker. He wasn't just like, all right, Matt, Ron, do your thing. He was like, no, this is how I want to see things, and he worked with them directly. But so I do think that the comic professionals are being brought on. They're just may not be getting as much spotlight or pay, whatever. I don't know how all that works. I don't know the name.
Yeah, I mean they should, because the last few Marvel films have been absolutely atrocious.
Hey, don't get me started on the TV series like Secret Invasion, which was like,
my god!
Remember, they overhauled their production because they tried to do just like the movie TV people instead of like actual writers who know this stuff. Yeah. And do you really want to look at me in the eyes with this camera and tell me that Gail Simone wouldn't be epic with a Batgirl movie? Are you kidding me? Like, come on.
Absolutely. They should be bringing a lot of those comic people on to write those movies. And I know Tom King, he was writing a script. He is writing a script right now that just got greenlit for Green Lantern. No pun intended there, but he's doing a Green Lantern show through HBO, which
allegedly
animated or live action
might be good.
Yeah,
I will sort of say this as someone who's worked in the television industry and the film industry.
I was hoping you would chime in at some point.
There's a lot more going on than what the writer did to what the final product is on the screen. And most of the writers that I have met in film and television are amazing, amazing people who do incredible work. And very often, what you see as a final product is not reflective of what they can do. Just across the board, most of the people working in film and television are some of the best writers that you can find anywhere. They really are. And I know you look at the stuff on the screen, but like there's just so many things that happen in production. Like, for instance, if anyone saw The Witcher, the spin-offs that they had, which maybe wasn't the best, right? One of the reasons why it wasn't the best was right before they went to production, they changed it from a 5-episode thing to a 3-episode thing. And I'm talking like 1 week before production. So all of a sudden they had to figure out logistically how to change their story from 5 to 3, and things got thrown out. Connective tissue was gone because the budget got slashed. And so like there's so much like that, where as a writer, you have at the beginning, you have time to do grandiose things, and then it becomes triage. And how can we make the best thing out of these new edicts and mandates that we've been given? And I think we see that often in our own writing, right? Like if you're working with a great artist, then they're collaborative. But sometimes you get pages in, you're like, or at least I've heard of this. Sometimes you get pages in and they're not what you envisioned. And so then you have to quickly rewrite. And now imagine that you're on deadline and this has to go to the printer. And so now you're doing triage with your dialogue and it's not the thing that you wanted. It's not reflective of how good you are. So I think sometimes it's just too easy to sort of sit back and say, these people should be writing. Because the people who are there are excellent. There are often just factors beyond control and most people's knowledge that sort of go into that.
Actually, to piggyback off exactly what you're saying, I remember I did a semester in LA program through the college I went to, and one of the people who spoke to us was Nicholas Meyer, who wrote Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan. And I mean, that guy's a writer. That guy was a really brilliant writer, and his screenplay for this movie he did was fantastic. But the film itself was awful. It was just not a good film. So it's like it's almost like what you're saying, Charlie, is that the writers can write the most wonderful script, but as soon as they let go of that script, it's off to whoever, and they're going to do whatever they're going to do. And hopefully it'll be great, but it's out of the writer's hands. And I think there are. I was
a producer on a film that we had a decent script, and then all of a sudden financiers came in and they wanted different things. but these people were coming in during the production. So everything was changing during the course of the production. And the end result was a film that we had to have in post for, I don't know, 8 months, where we kept writing voiceovers and things to try to make the whole thing make sense and come together, because there just had been too many different voices. So like, there's a lot of reasons. I will also say, you know, for those of us who are looking to get into working for a publisher right now, for those of you who are looking to get into TV right now, take a breath. It is probably the hardest it's ever been in the last 20 years to get a job. I know so many TV writers who have not worked in a year and a half, you know, who are desperately looking for jobs because streaming has killed everything. I won't get into it too much, but streaming is the worst thing that happened financially to the stability of both the television industry, and that's also filtered down into the comic book industry. And we as writers are now sort of suffering the lack of jobs and opportunities because of the streaming model. Off my soapbox.
Because not many streaming's actually profitable yet, are they? Like Disney isn't profitable, Max isn't profitable, and I think
Netflix has always been that.
Like Paramount Plus are trying to sell Star Trek to freaking get some money.
I don't even think Netflix is profitable.
No,
they always talk about their debt.
Yeah,
it's a pyramid scheme where they're trying to get more investors, and they make their money off of their stock, and so they need to keep showing more value, more subscribers, and they created this profit model that all of the other studios said, "Oh, we want that," and abandoned television, which was the most lucrative, rock solid model that had ever been created for entertainment, with upfront ad buys and everything. So, and then the syndication and all of those things made television a multi-billion-dollar industry, and profitable multi-billion-dollar industry. And now it's all operating in the red.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. But I think that also answers the question, why comics? Because it's like, here we have the control, right? Like, we can make our projects the way that we want to, and we don't have to worry about some investor coming in and saying, hey, your 12-issue miniseries, your 60-issue miniseries, it now has to be cut down to 12 issues. You know, you are in control. You make the decisions as the creator of what to do, and you make it happen however you need to make it happen. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, Charlie. Kenrick, I want to hear from you, man. Why comics?
Yeah, it's kind of easy. One, I just fell in love with the medium. I come from a house of readers. My mom was a reader. My dad was everybody read. And comics was the first thing that me and my brother bonded over. He's 5 years older than me. And it was the first time that he let me go into we shared a room for a long time. And then once I was out of his room, it was the first thing that let me come back into his room. And I would sneak in there because he had a comic book collection, and I'd be reading his comics, and he caught me in there, and I thought I was going to get my butt beat. And instead of that, he's like, "Oh, you like this? You should check out this one, and you should check out this one." And so it's kind of special. So it stuck with me more than it stuck with him. He kind of stopped reading comic books. I kept going. DeMatteis, DeMatteis's Craven's Last Hunt, and was it 1986?
That was Spider-Man 2 was the first comic I ever read, and I actually hired Jam to be my editor on a book I wrote about my grandfather. So you're speaking my language, right?
That book, that one, The Dark Knight Returns, only because it was so adult in comparison when I read it. What was like, oh, I didn't know comics could be like that. But that particular book, I didn't know comics could be done that well. And to be something that changed. This is why I shouldn't say hate. This is why I get upset with the new Spider-Man stuff, because it's always high school Peter Parker, And when I read Spider-Man in the 80s, he had already, the 70s had happened. He was out of high school for 15, 20 years. And it was him, getting married, having a kid, going through Craven's Last Hunt. I feel like he should be claustrophobic in today's world, because what he went through was horrific. And then to end the whole story the way they did was, it just stuck with me for my whole life. And so I was like, I want to do that. I can do that. I can write a story, and I want to make somebody think like that and go, oh, that was amazing. And you know, comic books are one of the few true American art forms, and it's fun to play in that world. And yeah, I want to continue to do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a great answer. I love Mike Seck's artwork and Craven's last month. I'm friends with the entire creative team of that run. And yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I'm a big Spidey fan. So
hey, before you get to Sarah, I just want to say, Sarah, I'm kind of jealous because you didn't come from comics. You weren't a comic book reader. So you get to break all the rules without even knowing that you're breaking all those rules. And I love it.
And you got a cute cat that you're holding right now. Yeah. Well, everybody knows about my Spider-Man fascination. So let's get to Sarah. She's been waiting so patiently.
So why comics? You know, being that I grew up without much influence from comics. Now I got cat hair up my nose.
Would you mind bringing your mic closer to us too? So sorry.
I leaned back because he's old and he gets what he wants, right? So
yeah, of course.
Here I'll sit back up here. So yeah, being in comics, I like I said, I kind of got pushed backwards into the pool, so to speak, and I honestly, when I first started, I didn't really even read the comics that we were making. I didn't really do that because like I was just like, I'm not making the comics, they're not my comics, I'm just helping with advertising. I'm doing a little graphic design here and there. It's not mine, you know. And then finally I think that somebody asked me a question at a convention and I couldn't answer it because I didn't read the comics. And so I was like, fine, I'll read the comics. And then I was like, well, you can actually tell some really interesting stories here. And I started to share that with my other non-comics friends. I was like, well, you know, you didn't really, we didn't, I think we might be missing out on this. Like this medium is kind of cool because you can tell stories that you can't tell in other ways. And then I have this other friend who actually, one of the Kickstarters that I'm here for is it's his story, and I told him about that, and he's written tons of stories, and I was like, some of your stories would make good comics. He's like, my stories don't have any action in them, and I was like, that's a fallacy. You don't have to be. It doesn't have to be action. It doesn't have to be all fights and stuff. That's superhero stuff, but it doesn't have to be that. It can be anything. You can tell any story with a comic. And the one that it's launching on Thursday, and it's he actually wrote it as a radio play, which means that adapting it was a challenge, but it wasn't a challenge in the way that you're adapting other stuff because he already had a lot of the descriptive stuff in there, and I ended up having to cut a bunch of stuff out because that's the story that you tell with the images, right? You don't need that stuff. So there was a ton of dialogue that had to go, and that was, I think, painful for him too. but yeah, like now that we both went through this whole experience, and we're like, yeah, see, this story doesn't have a lot of action in it, particularly in the first issue. Then and yet it's a good story. It flows nicely. So like it doesn't have to be, comics don't have to be anything. They don't have to follow any formula aside from, you know, the classic story. You know, the story has to flow. But like other than that, it doesn't have to be. There's not many rules. So it's just really cool.
I mean, for a great Kickstarter like tier, you could actually do the play for the Kickstarter.
We actually were talking about that, and I don't know if he got the because he was recording it, and I was like, I don't know if we can make this happen. And then I thought well, we could for a tier like do a live reading of it, which would be fun too.
That'd be awesome.
So
yeah,
I was
We're
thinking
doing
about
that.
some stuff like that might be fun.
Yeah,
That's
get
cool.
all the
We're
different
doing that
people to
with
do different voices.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're doing that with Supernatural Baby Detective for issue 1, where we got a voiceover guy that has like that movie theater voice, to be frank, and then we're gonna have different people doing characters, and
If you need a
because
random Brit.
yeah, well, the inspiration was, I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember, but when The Hobbit, the animated cartoon came out back in the early '80s, they released a record, and you could follow along with your book that had the whole animated movie, and you could, just turn the pages and follow along with the story. And that's what we want to do. So that's cool. You should do that, Sarah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and that would be something like very unique, which is always something we strive for on Kickstarter, is to have that one reward that not everyone has.
Right.
And
And it's
also,
only if you are the person who comes up with that first,
yeah,
then everybody else copies it afterwards. So it's
yeah,
not
pretty
unique
much.
anymore.
Yeah, pretty much.
But you were there when it was.
Yeah.
Oh, it was cool.
It's like I was number 1. Like I did that. Yeah. Yeah. Also, Sarah, I remember you recall you saying that you were doing a Joker reading for research. Well, if you ever need a good Joker voice, I'm here for you.
Perfect.
That's awesome. All right, Charlie, you kind of gave us a little insight to things a little bit, but we didn't really give you a chance to answer the question. So go ahead. Tell us
I'll give you the quick version. I mean, for me, it's always been comics. I mean, Kendrick was talking about how you have those books. Back when you were a child of the 70s, if once you saw a movie, you couldn't watch that DVD, you couldn't watch that VHS. You had your book and you had your record, or maybe if you were really lucky, after you saw Star Wars once, you had that little graphic novel that came out, and you'd read that again and again. So there's a lot of comic book adaptations of movies in the 70s and 80s that were our way of basically binging the thing again and again, because it wasn't going to be back in the theaters, and who knows when you'd see it again. So I went from loving that to basically when I was about 11, I decided comics were being my profession. I took it very seriously, like a business. I also had a subscription to the Comic Buyer's Guide. Because I thought that was what the professionals were doing. So I was reading the industry magazine and taking notes. It was so important to me to understand the inner workings of the comic book industry.
The Bud Plant catalog.
The Bud Plant catalog. And then
that's a
Todd
throwback.
McFarlane, Peter David debate that was going to happen. And at the Philadelphia convention, and for me, that was a high point of my life, where I almost flunked out of college because I didn't want to go to take a test. I wanted to go down to the city, and my Spanish teacher didn't understand how this was so much more important than her Spanish final. But I was totally on board to be a comic book person, and I had my own strips that I did in the school paper, both in high school and in college.
That's cool.
And so I was all in. And then I interned at Marvel, and then I got a job offer in LA. Basically left comics for about 20 plus years. And when I came back to sort of doing things on Kickstarter, I was like, oh yeah, this is what I was meant to do. I love working in film, I love working in television, but the collaborative medium of comics, working with talent that makes you better, the immediacy of it, I was going to San Diego Comic-Con since the minute I moved out to LA, but it was more just visiting as a fan, and to have a booth there, it blew my mind. In 2017, I was like, I am where I'm supposed to be, and so awesome. For me, it's sort of been the culmination of a journey that started when I first started reading comics in the mid to early 80s. And so I'm really happy to be able to make them. I'm really happy to call a lot of people who I read books and as when I was younger, my peers now, and to know all these people. And I think that's the wonderful thing about comics, is it is an industry that if you are nice and you are talented and you're good to other people, people want to help each other. And again, it goes back to this thing with no money, no fame. You must be doing this thing because you are crazy like we are. And so if you're going to be crazy and you want to do this thing too, I'm going to help you to make sure that you can try to do it. And so I love that about comics. I love that on Kickstarter there's a community. I love in independent comics that there's a community. Onrie, I love that you asked all of us to be here tonight on the show.
Yeah, that was
I
nice.
love that the experience exists and that it is a place where you see artists, where people can sell comics, where retailers can reach out beyond their stores, and that we have created an online community. So I think that's something truly special about comics, and I'm so happy to be part of that.
And I have to say that's probably one of the things that I think is so great about where my career has taken me, because when I initially started out in comics, I had to focus. I was just trying to stay alive. So I was just focusing on what I was doing at conventions. It wasn't until I got to once COVID happened and I started kind of like seeing how I had to pivot, that I realized, well, now I can do what I want to do in a sense and bring people together in this way. So, and mainly through the reselling side of it, by getting other people, creators' books and having them come on and do things like that. So, that's helping other creators, I think is such an important aspect of what being a part of this community is, because none of us can get anywhere if we don't have help. There's a invisible firewall that exists in comics, and I have met a lot of people in the industry who are high up who won't give you the time of day. So whenever you meet somebody that does, and most of the time you will meet people who will help you, but when you come across those that give you that discouraging advice or whatever, they're not the ones that you want to end your journey with. You want to keep going, and that's the whole thing of it. But we're going to take one last commercial break before we head out. And we are in the last 30 minutes, so we're going to give everybody a chance to talk a little bit about one thing that you guys, well, we'll come back after the commercial break and I'll ask the question. I'm going to form it right now. So we got it. So one last break and then we're going to wrap up the show.
So the show is called The Geek Chat. And really, there's just a couple of geeks.
I'm Rich.
I'm Dez.
And we are your hosts for this weekly guide into comic bookery and all the geeky stuff that goes with it.
And that pretty much says it all. They talk about the latest movies and shows.
Okay, I'll be completely honest with you. Overall, D+ movie.
So the end. Did you know who that is?
That's She-Ra, yeah.
Yes.
The new #1 comics of the week.
We rep Samuel Jackson and we rep Mace Windu.
I passed on this. I was like...
No regrets.
No regrets. I really wanted to like this book. I really did. Like, I really did.
And just chat with each other. And with you.
Oh, Daniel says, I dozed off with the first one. I have zero interest in the Joker Harley ship, not Harley herself. Enjoy, not for me. Yeah, this movie's going to be rough for me to sit through, I'll be honest.
The Geek Chat, Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Just a couple of honest geeks.
Let's be honest. Come on.
And that is why people watch us, because we're honest.
Giving their honest opinions.
And the thing you always have to remember about the internet is everyone has an opinion, and they all suck.
Part of the experience.
Download our app on Google Play and the App Store. It's so simple, even my mommy can use it. In a world where you hit like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. That'd be really great, thanks.
we are in the final stretch. Unfortunately, Charlie had to duck out because he's a busy man. So, for those of you guys who haven't had a chance to check out the White Ash Annual, please do. But since we have 20 minutes left, I'm going to ask every single creator to tell us if every single person who is potentially here to back your campaigns were to come to your campaign with a limited budget and they could only get one thing, what would you recommend that they get? And JD, I know you don't have an active campaign right now, so if you want to, since you're just here to kind of be here with us, which we really appreciate, feel free to send us to your website or whatever it is, pitch us whatever, because Kickstarter is only the beginning, guys. This is not the end. All of us creators realize Kickstarter is there to help us just get the project made so that we can get it out there. After that, we're going to conventions, we're doing all kinds of things, store signings, hitting up flea markets, doing whatever we can to set up and move as many copies of our books as we can. So JD, go ahead, tell us what we can buy from you on a limited budget.
Now, okay, so I don't have a current campaign running, but in about 2 weeks I'll have the Oswald Chronicles will be up and running again. I have 2 issues. So issues 1 and 2 of a story called it's not, oh my god, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. When Tennis Souls Mourn. I'm sorry. All of my stories have these crazy titles, and I sometimes get confused. But what I would suggest is, if depending on what you want, right? So the easiest thing, the least expensive thing would be the PDF level. PDF level 1 is usually about $8. You get 2 books. If you get for $12, I believe I give you those 2 books plus the prior campaign's books. So you would probably get that was a graphic novel, so that's another 200 pages worth of books. If you really wanted to get something where maybe you wanted to get more bang for your buck, I have an ultimate PDF level, which is $45. It has 1,200 pages worth of comics and about 800 pages worth of prose, because the Oswald Chronicles originally started out as prose, and then I converted it into comics because I'm a lunatic. And so that
you read comics, of course you're a lunatic.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a long time, so trust me, loony is it.
Comics.
Yeah. So it just depends what you want. If you want something inexpensive, I have that. If you want something that's inexpensive, well, maybe a little bit more expensive, but you get a lot of bang for your buck. I mean, you'll be reading for a long time. So.
Awesome. All right, Todd, we're on a budget. What do we buy from you?
Well, if you just want to Take the House, my heist graphic novel, we do have a PDF level for $10 to get the whole book. It's really, really fun. I'm really, really proud of it. A friend of mine, a dear friend named Pops Van Zant, he's Todd, you have a $1 thank you pledge, which I allow because I know people will come give $1, and I understand. But apparently there's a trick where you can pledge to there, but you still get access to the add-ons. And some of my add-ons are only $5. So I have basically every book I've ever made, from Guardians to Tokyo Blade Detectives, my Sherlock novels, As We Go Into the Stars. I'm a big AEW guy, so I actually worked with one of the wrestlers, Thunder Rosa, to make a comic of her life. I have basically everything as an add-on. So if you only have say $6 on you, pledge to the $1 tier, then get a $5 PDF. I am here to help. I try to make my rewards as accessible as possible so that no matter what your range is, I can help out. Now, I'm going to break a rule here because I'm also going to go on the opposite end. If you are willing to spend the dough, I have an ultimate.
Break the rules. Break the rules.
I will break the rules.
Yeah, break them all. Break them like bones.
Yeah. If you are willing to go to the opposite end of the spectrum, I have a really special reward where, as I noted, my book is a heist book. What if you wanted to become one of the heist crew? I offer a reward for that. You can pledge to the $200 tier, and you will become one of the heist members. You will be on the cover and multiple pages of the book because you're basically a main character. So I have only offered this kind of thing of one other comic in my life before, and I'm like, why not? And you're like, well, why would I do this? Because every character in the book is a real person. That's just how it is. Everyone on one of the teams is a person I personally know. I said, hey, who wants to be part of a heist crew? And so many hands went up. So now this is your opportunity to join it. So if you don't have a lot of money, get the PDF. If you're willing to have really cool, join the heist crew. And we have a lot of cool awards and rewards in between. So I hope you'll give it a shot.
I love your passion and enthusiasm, man. Like seriously, and you're a Midwest guy too. Where are you based?
Illinois,
Oh, I'm
Champaign.
in Illinois too. What part of Illinois?
Champaign.
Oh, you're in Champaign. Okay, cool. Well, I'm sure I'll see you at one of these Midwest cons. We'll have to connect.
I would like that very much, Onrie.
Yeah, awesome, man.
So,
I drive past there every time I go to Chicago.
Yeah, I do C2E2 every year, whether I'm a vendor or a fan.
Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. Well, I'm at T2E2 as well. That's my backyard show. So.
Oh, there you go. So I'll definitely see you there next year.
Yeah. All right, Aaron. Tell us. If we have a limited budget, what can we get away with on your?
The smallest tier I have is an Onrie issue 1. You get for $3. I do have a deluxe on some of them, the digital tiers, where you can get a desktop background wallpaper and a mobile phone background. Which because there's so many different types of mobile phones, the part of the survey will be what size you want, so it's customized to your phone. And then obviously we have all the physical tiers, all the rest of the catch-ups. You can be in the cover. I do have a tier for that as well, for all those rich folk who love to get themselves drawn into comics. You do get a signed print as well of the character, done by Ezekiel, the artist. It's 8.5 by 11 size, so pretty good for wallpaper art. So yeah, I have pretty much everything on this. I do have a plushie, thanks to Carissa Grant. She's got me hooked onto getting a plushie made. So that's one of the kind of mid-range tiers.
That's awesome. Awesome.
This
Very
has been
cool.
getting people in trouble with that, hasn't she?
There's going to be a plushie. There is going to be a plushie war, guaranteed.
This is legit. This is actually a plushie I made for a past campaign, and I had one made. It's actually really good quality, and I was like, oh, someone's totally gonna want this, and like no one did. So I'm like, mine.
Yeah, that's going through mine. I thought people would actually buy it, get the plushie, but there's no backers yet, so it's mine.
And if nothing else, you never know until you try, right?
Well, here's the thing too. You bring it with you to a convention, and then you got it there. And
that's what Eevee's for.
Yeah,
that's what Eevee's for over there.
Yeah, you got something for everyone. So I definitely think that there's something to it. I remember when I was sitting up with I did Comic Palooza last year with Jen King, and she brought so many plushies to that show. I think like the amount of space the plushies took up was way more than the comics, because comics can be compartmentalized like really easily. You just throw them in a box and there they are. But the plushies, you can't really do that with them. They take up a lot of space. But they sell. I mean, people jump on that stuff, and little kids, they see that cute little thing there.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right, Kenrick, I gotta say something, man. You have a voice for this stuff, man. You have like seriously, you have like the most commanding voice for like broadcasting and radio and everything, man. I love it. Tell us, if we have like just a limited fund, how can we support you? What do you say? What's the easiest thing for us to get into?
The easiest thing to get into.
Not easiest, but the cheapest thing.
Yeah, the cheapest thing to get into for Supernatural Baby Detective is just the PDF version. It's $6, but you also get issue 1, so you get the catch up. And all of my tiers, you get issue 1, regardless of what you go at. So, and that's the cheapest. The one that I would personally do is you go a couple steps up if you have $25 and get the issue 1 and 2 cover B, the variant covers. Because issue 1, the variant cover, was done by Ram Sandoval. He's our artist that does all the internal pages. And he did it as an homage to Iron Maiden Killers, the album Killers, that has Eddie on the cover with the hatchet, and you just see a hand coming up. And so one of our main protagonists is a man crazed, and he's dressed like the Easter Bunny. So he's got his hatchet up and blood's flailing around. It's really cool. And then for issue 2, our cover B variant is drawn by a girl named Mandy Hansen, a lady named Mandy Hansen. She actually goes to the University of Washington. She's only like 20 years old, and she kills this cover. So the first issue is called Stillborn. The second issue is called Supernatural Baby Detective Adventures in Babysitting. And if you know the cover for Adventures in Babysitting from the old school VHS cover box, you're going to know that cover as soon as you see it. You're going to be like, oh my God, that is, and she kills it. She kills it. And one of the things I'm hoping to get to is our goal is only 2,500. And if we can get to 3,500, I want to do a metal cover of hers because I just think the color, the scheme will just pop as a metal cover. It'll look so good. So those are the two I would really suggest.
That is fantastic. That's awesome. Okay, Sarah, you're up.
Well, if you want to support the art of Ian Richardson, which why wouldn't you? I've talked nothing about it, but like it's Ian Richardson, so do I need to say much? You can get the PDF of Volume 2 for $15, and then we've got the digital catch-up, so you can get both. I think that's $30, $25-$30. And then for Granica, which is launching on Thursday, as part of Backer Kit's Comictopia event, which means there's just a whole, I want to say 30 creators in there, and if you back more than 5 or so, you get a special edition comic that is one page made by everybody that is participating in Comictopia, so it's really cool. So I know that that's not the cheapest option, but it's the coolest option is to back a bunch of these creators for the cheapest option so that you can get that cool, it's called the Exquisite Corpse style of comic. Anyway, if you're just backing us, PDF's $8, and if you haven't backed anything of ours ever and you want to dive in, we've got catch-up tiers of the entire Laguna Studios bundle. We've got the basic bundle, we've got the not safe for work bundle, and we've got the deluxe bundle with all the books, the Cthulhu books and the art books and the one shot Hot Breast Pharaoh's Gold, and I can't remember of any of them right now, but we got Ian Richardson's art books, we got Stan Yak's art book, we got the Cthulhu is Hard to Spell 1 through 6. That's all in the deluxe bundle, so you can get that there, and it depends on your budget, but there's something there for everybody. If you want to catch up with Laguna, it's all there. If you just want to get a copy of Granica, then it's right there. PDF is $8, so it's pretty affordable.
I found that last comic title insulting because we, the true followers of Cthulhu, always know how to spell our Lord's name. Just saying.
I didn't name it otherwise. I mean, I fully agree, but I didn't. It's Russell Nolte's brainchild, so.
Yeah.
Blame Russell.
I will.
Now that you guys I have a question for everybody real quick. Does anybody else suffer from Kickstarter envy? Because I go to you guys' stuff, and it looks amazing. The videos piss me off because I have to do all my video work myself, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And everybody else is I look at them, and they look professional, and then, I'm just seeing what sticks, basically, on the wall. And, you go look for, I Drive for Cerber. That guy, Sean, does really good stuff, and his Kickstarters always look amazing. Travis Webb's Kickstarters always look amazing. I'm insanely jelly.
For me,
I totally get it. I feel the same way, especially those campaigns where they blink an eye, and as soon as they launch, funded in minutes, and it's they just pays
Ron Randall
just by
Ron Randall just went today, and he's already over 19.
Yeah, it's crazy. I can't imagine getting to that point. I'm happy where I'm at, and I still got I'm only 30% funded, but hey, that's a good thing. And I think it's the small victories. And the thing that I'm learning too is, the quicker you fulfill and launch again, the more people will come back for that next campaign. But you just got to keep things. You got to keep things in the pipeline. And I think it's tricky. And it's just you got to just keep doing it. You got to go at your own pace. The one thing I've learned, going to conventions and selling my books and making a career out of that, no one taught me how to do that. I had to figure that out, and it took years for me to figure out, okay, where's that margin where I can pay myself and start to, call this an actual career. So I think we're all figuring this out as we go. And like what Charlie was saying earlier, this is the perfect platform to do it. But I did have one last question, and this will be the final question of the evening. So I asked what folks can do on a limited budget, but now I'm asking for the people who just got a fat paycheck and have so much money. There's so many of these people today, by the way. Those people who have so much money, they don't know what to do with it. They're just like, well, I just got, my $30,000 bonus for just simply being a peon for 15 years. And now I want to buy a bunch of comics and I want to go and support the art. So JD, tell us, if someone comes in with all the money in the world, what should they get?
Well, at the moment, I have the ultimate trade paperback level, and that's at the moment the Oswald Chronicles has 5 trade paperbacks, so it'd be 5 trade paperbacks plus the 2 current books. It's about, I don't know, I don't even remember. I think it was about $200, I think, at this point. And yeah, but before I used to have a much larger level. I had the ultimate book level, was all the comics. I had to get rid of it. Was driving me crazy putting that one together. So I was just like, no. I did the last one of that when I was like, all right, I'm done with that.
Shipping's a nightmare.
No, the shipping wasn't that bad. It was just gathering all the books, because I was like, I have from the comic, I know it's like 30, 40 separate issues, right? Oh. And they're in my in the other room, and I'm like, did I double check and make sure I had enough of these?
Probably not.
Yeah. And then so sometimes you run out of things. You like, then I have to dig out of my personal stash to fulfill orders, and I was like, but you do what you got to do to make your fans happy.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. All right, Todd. You kind of answered the question, but I'm going to let you expand on it now.
Yeah. So I already talked about mine. The ultimate tier in Take the House is getting to be one of the heist crew. What I forgot to mention is that there's only 7 slots, except there was until 2 of them got filled. So they only have 5 slots left to be one of the heist crew, which again, you'll be on the cover, be on multiple pages. And then something that many people have done is getting a whole bunch of add-ons, because you can get as many add-ons as you want. I've made between comics and novels over 50 books, and all of them are on the Kickstarter. So if you really wanted to spend that $30,000, you could just get the $200 tier, click off every add-on you desire, and then just because you like me, you could pledge the other $29,000 that you got in that bonus just because you love it. And I know what you think, why, Todd? Why would I do that? Would I do that for you? No, you wouldn't do it for me. Would I do it for the books, Todd? No, you would not do it for the books. You would do it for the hair, because this is the selling point. All right, I'm just saying, the only one who has much hair as me in this show is Sarah down there, and I would even argue that I probably have more hair than Sarah. I'm just saying. So don't do it for me. Don't do it for the books. Do it for the hair. The hair needs you to help take the house. Okay, I'm just saying.
Aaron, go ahead, man.
You're on mute, Aaron.
You're on mute.
Yeah.
Aaron, you muted yourself.
You're still muting.
Mute.
Aaron,
you're on mute.
Aaron, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
I go, pushy.
There you go.
Spend all the money on the plushie.
All the money on the plushie. Just get 20 plushies, and it'll have a nice family of plushies. There you go. I mean, you could be in the comic. You could be on the front cover. You can. This is like the character you get. So all these get signed by myself and the artist, and then get all the prints and add-ons, and you'll have a great time.
Excellent.
No hair, unfortunately.
It's all right. Most of us don't have it.
Yeah.
Kenrick, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I guess the highest tiers I have. I mean, I have a retailer tier at 200, but I always tell retailers to contact me because I know they need to make certain margins, and that's okay. But we've sold a couple of those. The one that is really cool is called the First 10. And you get a matching set of cover A, B, and C, and you get one of the first comics off the press. So you get one of the first 10 comics off the press. It comes with a holographic sticker, and it tells you what version yours is. So you'll either get 1 of 10 or 5 of 10, and then each one of your covers will be the 5th one of that cover off the press. So 5, 10, 5 of 10, 5 of 10, and that's $75. And then you can add your add-ons, and that one does actually pretty well. We only got 5 left out of the 10 that were originally available.
I see. Well, that's excellent. All right, Sarah, it's you. You're the final one. We got a bunch of money.
The final boss.
Final boss.
For the art of Ian Richardson, somehow, and I don't know how this happened, but somehow the original cover inks are still available. And that is $325, I believe. So, you know, I don't know how it happened. It was it was gone immediately, and then they canceled their pledge. So I don't know, but yeah, like if you want, like that's
so much.
Original inks from the cover of The Art of Ian Richardson Volume 2. So like there's only one available. It's probably it definitely is the highest dollar single item on that campaign. And for Granica, it's probably that deluxe bundle of getting every single copy of every single floppy and every single soft cover perfect bound book that we have, which is $500, I think. So it's a big old stack of books. And then also if you back right away, you get all the other funds, you know, like the first 48 bonus and the returning backer bonus if you've got that. It's like you get all the incentives too. So plus any stretch goals we might get to. So yeah, if you back at that $500, that gets you everything.
Excellent. All right, guys, our time's up here. I just want to thank all of you for sticking through with this. I also want to thank our other guests who had to duck out early. Thank you for making this such a wonderful evening. And I hope that there is a lot of viewers who come back later on and back your campaigns and do everything. I will see you guys all later. Have a great rest of your evening, and thank you for being here. I love all you guys. Good luck to you with your campaigns.
And you too.
Thanks, Onrie. This was awesome.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. Have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.